poppin', y'all? It's your boy, Guardy3, and welcome to Coffee and Sports in the Morning. Of course, just like every Friday morning, I'm joined by the greatest co-host of all time. He is Mo Betta. How you doing, Mo?
Hey, what's good, Brett? Welcome everybody for joining us on a wonderful Friday. A lot of action going on in the NCAA's. Let's get it.
I figured, we could start off with some hoops, Mo, and I figure we could start off with your Lakers. It was improbable what happened last night. LeBron with the bad turnover, and it started a whole chain of events where the Bulls made an improbable comeback. Mo, what did you think about the game last night?
I thought the Lakers had control of the game, but I thought late they got really lackadaisical, very careless. It actually it started with the Bulls came down and the court was spread, and LeBron made a late rotation, and Patrick Williams hit a three. And then right after he hit the three, LeBron turns the ball over. I think he anticipated Austin Reeves coming up, and instead he went out, and he had a bad turnover, and they hit another three. And then it was just a crazy, wild ending for the Lakers to come down, take a bad shot, and then obviously Josh Giddey, basically from about half court. It was a crazy ending. I watched that game I'm not gonna lie. There was a point in the game where the Lakers had complete control, and I was like, as it should be. And I blinked, and the Bulls were back in the game. I just think the Lakers. It's crazy to think that the Lakers, who have championship aspirations, have lost 2 games in a row to the Bulls, who just want to barely get into the postseason. But that's what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. It something they can't do if they want to make a deep postseason run. They can't do what they did yesterday. It's all about execution when you get into the playoffs, and if they want to make that deep run, they can't be lackadaisical like last night.
And look, the Lakers do have a flaw. I know everybody was hyping up how well their defense played over about a 5 or 6 week span. But the same way that LeBron and Luka had to adjust to being teammates, I think other teams had to adjust to them being teammates. And what other teams are doing is they're attacking the Lakers, not just in transition, because the Lakers aren't a good transition defensive team, but they are spreading the floor even more and finding individual matchups that benefit them. The Lakers are struggling because once you get past the initial defender, there is no rim protection. And that was going to be something they were going to have to deal with anyway. I think Jackson Hayes, if you look at the box score, I think he had 19 points. Like I said, terrific rim runner, a great energy guy, but he's not really a great shot blocker or a good defender. And I think the Lakers will go as far as their defense takes them. And right now, if you're a Laker fan, you should be concerned because Chicago's not one of the better teams in the NBA. They manhandled them a couple of days ago, and then they stayed around close enough to have a miraculous finish and ended up winning. If you're a Laker fan or a Laker player and you're in that locker room, you got to be questioning, like, what can we do better defensively to shut games down? Because right now that's where they're getting killed. They can't stop anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Josh Giddey too. He's locked himself in a nice payday for next summer. When it comes to Giddey, I saw some people saying that we know who won the trade now between the Bulls and Thunder. And it's funny because I still don't think that's necessarily true. Still think that trade that was made over the summer was a win-win for both teams. Because let's be real, Josh Giddey does not develop the way that he is in Chicago on the Thunder. He was relegated to more of an off-ball role, and that just didn't suit Josh Giddey's strengths. He needs the ball in his hands to get max value out of, and he's been able to do that in Chicago, and now I'm sure they're going to ink him to a nice deal this summer.
He's a really good player. I believe, is he a restricted free agent or is he just an out and out free agent?
I think he's restricted.
Because if he's not restricted, if I were Josh Giddey, look, he's young enough that he can still get a good payday, but if he would rather go somewhere where he can contend, go somewhere where you can contend. Yes, he can get paid by Chicago, but this time next year, barring them getting a franchise player in the draft, Chicago will be scraping to get into the postseason. I like Josh Giddey. I think in a title winning team or contending team, he could very well be your third option because he does so many different things well. And when you're as young as he is, Brett, he still can develop and become a more consistent shooter. So I love his skill set. I'm just wondering. I get why Chicago wants to keep him, but if you give him a massive contract, you have to be careful to not to overpay. That's all I'm saying. Like, he's a very good player, but it's not like you can go, yeah, we're going to build around Josh Giddey. He's not that kind of player.
No, hey, fair enough. And we got to touch on some of the NCAA tournament games. Of course, got to ask, what did you think about Texas Tech and Arkansas? 16-point comeback.
Arkansas did everything right in the first half, did most of everything right in the second half until about 8 or 9 minutes left in the game. And everything they did well, they fell apart. Now, let me be clear on one thing. Arkansas is not the best three-point shooting team in the world. In the first half, they shot out of their mind from behind the arc. And in the second half, reality sank in, and they shot more like what they normally shoot. And I'll give Texas Tech a lot of credit because they could have easily let this game get away from them. They grinded their way back. What I didn't understand about Arkansas that frustrated me, look, just watching, is what Williams is going to do every time he crab dribbles to his left. Every time he crab dribbles to his left, he's putting his right shoulder into your left shoulder so he can spin back right. He did that. He did the same move, Brett, like 5 or 6 times. And I'm like, come on, Coach Cal. You know it's coming. You have to send a second defender from the other baseline to make him turn left. He's not nearly as effective going left. Just some little differences, some subtleties that they could have done to help them win the game. Look, in the end, I guess you could say the better team won, but I thought Arkansas gave it away more than Texas Tech took it from them. Great game. I enjoyed it. I feel like Texas Tech versus Florida, that has the potential to be a blowout for Florida.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we had a Cooper Flag fantastic game last night. A lot of foul trouble for Duke, and Flag really put them on his back to carry them to a 193 victory. What did you think of Duke last night?
I thought, look, Duke has more talent than Arizona, but Arizona stayed in it. They came back and made it very interesting, but I thought in the end, look, there was too much Cooper Flag. Duke was a lot more balanced across the front line. I thought Duke's size played a big role in how they held them off. I thought Cooper Flag was impactful. If you saw the game, not just with his offense, but how many times did he come from the weak side to alter or block shots? Like, he was sensational. The Blue Devils look like the team to beat to most people. I think we might get the best game of the tournament when Duke meets Alabama.
Yeah, to say, Duke's going to try to run them off the 3-point line after last night's outing. 24 threes. That's just wild to think about. Set the NCAA record.
What's crazy is that BYU likes to play fast, but I don't think they were ready for Alabama's speed or athleticism. They play fast, and then they were playing against Alabama, and they realized, like, these guys are really fast. And it's not just that Alabama had more speed and more athletes. They're raining down threes. Sears and Holloway, Youngblood, those 3 guys, they look like Golden State at their peak. And on the other side, if you're BYU, you can't get into a track meet and go 6 for 30 from behind the arc. Game's over.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I say, kind of switching back to the NBA, Mo, it looks like we might get a Steph Curry return soon. It's been rumored he might be back on Friday. So I'm looking forward to that. Curious to see how he looks. He's probably going to be a little rusty to start, so it's good to bring him back early. Let him work his way back into playing shape there.
I agree. Look, Steph will be a little bit rusty, but it's still Steph Curry. So whoever they're playing against, when he's moving the way he moves off the ball, he's going to draw attention. I think there's a great chemistry between Draymond Green, and Jimmy Butler. They're role players like Pods, Kevon Looney. Those guys are all playing well. Gary Payton is playing well. I think Golden State, like I said, do I think they're going to be in the conference finals? I don't, but I do think they have the potential to maybe upset one of the favorites in the first round. Potential.
Hey, fair enough. And of course, I definitely wanted to get your opinion on this. NBA to explore potential European League with a FIBA partnership. It sounds like Europe might be getting their own basketball league, so it's not going to be a part of the NBA. So don't expect any crazy travel schedules. So,
right.
What do you think about Europe kind of getting their own league, partnering with the NBA?
I think it's great because the European fans clearly love the NBA. You obviously have great talent overseas. I feel like if the NBA partners with them to develop that league, I would argue that the Europe League that once it's constructed would be a better developmental league than the G League, right? Right? Wouldn't it be? There's more. I think there's more talent. I think it'll be a higher level of play, and if it with it being a league, it opens the doors for some American players who maybe struggle early in their careers. They go overseas, get a little bit more seasoned, develop more, get more polished, and then come back and are maybe better made for the pro game. So I love the idea. I think it's a great idea. To me, it's a win-win for basketball because I still think the fan base is growing.
Yeah, absolutely, and I love the idea too. I think it's a great idea. It'll be something to see. It'll be interesting to see, and between that and potentially getting some expansion teams in there, like a lot to look forward to, in the future of the NBA.
Oh, I agree, and I do think at some point there will be another professional basketball team in the great city of Seattle. I do. I think Seattle's going to get another pro team. The crazy thing is Texas is big enough to where they could add another one. They've already got 3, but they could add another one. That's how big Texas is.
Say, knowing the NBA, it's like the only franchise that doesn't have a team in Vegas, so I could see them going there too.
Yes, absolutely. You already got the Raiders there in the NFL. Why wouldn't you take advantage of that huge market? So I could see Vegas having a team as well. Like, I don't think they go crazy and add like 5 more teams, but if you told me over a span of a decade that they add 2 more, I could see that.
Oh, fair enough. And just kind of switching over to some NFL, Mo, it looks like we kind of know who that number 1 pick is. It looks like Cam Ward is really impressing the Titans and locking up that job. What do you think on a potential Cam Ward to the Titans fit?
It's a quarterback-driven league. Even if we both agree Carter's probably the best player in the draft, if you're a team that needs a quarterback and you look at the potential, not just the arm strength, but what he can do with his legs and how you develop him, you set him up for success by putting him with a really good group of coaches who know how to develop a quarterback. And if you think in training camp he's ready made to be a starter, you start him. I think if you're the Titans, you go big, and going big to me is swinging for the fences and going off the potential of what he could be. I'll say this. I know that a lot of athletic quarterbacks by default people think are going to be great at the next level, and that's not always the case. I think Cam Ward is more polished and ready for the NFL than Anthony Richardson is, and he's already been in the league for a year or so.
Hey, fair enough. And you know what? Hey, if the Titans don't run with Cam Ward right away and want to let him sit. Don't worry, guys. They just signed Tim Boyle. He'll carry them to another lottery pick.
Well, there you go. Then it sounds like the Titans have a plan, right? Cam Ward, you rest for a year. Tim Boyle, you take that beating, and then we'll get another lottery pick and have another building block and be one of the better teams next season. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm curious then, Mo, do you think at number 2 for the Cleveland Browns is the move just Shedeur Sanders?
Part of me wants to say it seems like it's going to be Shedeur because look at Cleveland's quarterback room. I'm just saying you have to have your quarterback of the future. Clearly, even though you're tied to Deshaun Watson because of the money, he's not your guy. What he is now is he's your veteran backup, at least for as long as you have him. I'm of the opinion, if it were me, I would have just brought in a bridge quarterback and I would have drafted Carter. But that's me.
Yeah, I thought they were going to bring back Jameis, honestly. It was kind of shocking to see it. Well, it's kind of shocking to see the Giants double dip with veteran quarterbacks, but
I still can't get over Jameis and Russ in the same quarterback room. That just seems bizarre.
Malik Neighbor's going to love it. It's either Jameis airing it out or Russ moonballs all year, so he's
true.
He's going for like 1,500 yards.
Yeah, look, the Giants might not be very good, but Malik Neighbor is going to have a Pro Bowl season. I agree.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Giants. You know, they're interesting, but I say, you know, we'll see how it pans out. And, you know, I'm curious to see how Travis Hunter get used at the next level. Also, is it going to be a quarterback or is he going to be a wideout?
I think predominantly the plan is for him to play most of his time, his snaps at cornerback. Depending on who drafts him, you might have a 10-play package for him to be the third guy in certain lineups, certain alignments. I can see that. I think they'll have a 10 or so play package for him because he can be electric for you, and you don't want to waste that kind of talent.
No, absolutely. Fair enough. Like I said, it's going to be fun, you know, going to my first ever draft this year. So definitely looking forward to that. It's going to be a great time.
Draft day is always exciting because you get into all the speculation, the trades. Nothing is more exciting when the commish walks up and he goes, "We have a trade." I'm like, what? Let's get it.
No, absolutely. And, you know, Dion did come out and say he's going to be happy wherever Shedeur lands. So there's all the talk about, you know, Dion just, you know, trying to push him to this team or that team. But sounds like wherever he goes, and Dion's just going to accept the result.
I think Dion said the smart thing by just saying, I'm just glad, you know, wherever Shedeur goes, he's going to help that franchise and make them better. That's all you need to say. And any team that's in love with Shedeur Sanders are going to draft. If you're in love with him, they're going to draft him. Simple as that.
Hey, Gene, thanks for tuning in, sir. Best football player in the draft, but I don't believe he's the best corner or wide. Hey, fair enough. That's a tough ask, but like I said, I think he'll kind of play almost like a Deion Sanders, mostly at cornerback and special packages at wideout. And I think the interesting part is if he does thrive in a situation like that, then do you pay him like a cornerback or do you pay him like a wideout?
Well, the good news is he's on that rookie deal. So, you know, but yeah, I think that's a good point. And I agree with Gene. He's not the best cornerback, but could he develop and continue his growth in the NFL and become one of the better cornerbacks? Absolutely. So I think whatever team drafts him, you have options. Play him at corner, obviously, and then have a small package, like I said before, because of his value and what he can do for you on the offensive side of the football. I think Travis Hunter is going to be a really good football player. It's just a matter of where he goes and what they ask of him.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, what's up, Key? Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, and it turns out also Abdul Carter won't work out at Pro Day, which makes sense. You know, he's dealing with that foot injury. Do you think that hurts his draft stock at all, or?
I don't think it hurts it at all. I really don't. And I think that most scouts and staffs, they look at the film on Abdul Carter and they see how dominant and how explosive a player he is on defense and what he can be. I don't think that changes anything. I still think he's the best player in this draft.
Hey, fair enough. And it looks like that the tush push ban is gaining momentum as per recent reports. So, do you think that it should be banned or not?
No. Look, if you want to make the argument that it doesn't seem like a natural football play, you could make that argument. I just feel like, to me, it is football, and kudos to the Eagles for coming up with something that that no one has an answer for right now. Like, all I'm saying is, every team in the NFL has the option to try to do the tush push, right? They can all do it. Can anybody, but it's not as simple as just doing it. Can everybody do what the Eagles can do with their O-line, with their quarterback, even with their running back behind their quarterback because of his leg strength? They're a unique football team. I'm not really into the banning of the tush push. I think it's weak.
Yeah, absolutely. You can tell he practice it a lot, and they work on leverage and getting low and
Right.
being able to pull it off as successfully as they do so. Like, every team can't do it. We saw Buffalo try to do it multiple times and get stuffed multiple times when they tried it.
Right, because a lot of people just wrote it off as a gimmick play. It's not a gimmick play. The Eagles do put in the work to be as good as they are at it, and they have the personnel to be as good as they are at it. I don't like the idea that you would ban it. All right, like what if somebody said back in the day we should ban the forward pass because it's not fair? Guys are really fast and get downfield. Like, I just think there's too many teams crying about something that they just can't stop.
Yeah, fair enough. Like I said, it'll be interesting to see. And I'm curious too. I was going to ask you about your 49ers, Mo. What do you think What do you think they need going forward? What do you think they target in the draft? And
I feel like they need to go out and get another explosive player on the outside. They lost a lot of playmakers on the decent defensive side of the football. You've brought back Robert Saleh. I'm sure Robert Saleh is going to have a lot to say about who they go after and who they bring into the fold. He's going to replenish that defense. We need another guard. We need a couple of guards. So they have a lot of needs. I think this is going to be a really different year. I don't think the 49ers will be a bad team, but I don't think they're going to be one of the elite teams either. But I trust in that coaching staff, and I do trust John Lynch to a point. We'll see. John Lynch has his work cut out for him. Luckily, they have tons of picks, so let's see what they do. Oh, by the way, though, it does start and end with what you end up paying Brock Purdy, right? Like, if Brock Purdy gets $55 million, that's crazy because you're going to go to war with Brock Purdy and a great tight end in George Kittle. I guess you're hoping C-Mac is healthy, but if the O-line isn't close to what it was last year, how long will C-Mac remain healthy?
Yeah, no, fair enough. And you know what? Honestly, I'll keep it a buck with everyone. Didn't have a long episode planned out for today. I'm feeling a little under the weather. So that's honestly pretty much all I had for today. Do you wanna say anything, Mo, before we get up on out of here?
Nah, look, I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning. Appreciate you guys so much. This is a short, truncated episode of Coffee and Sports in the Morning. My guy, the point guard, Guardy 3, Brett, is feeling a little bit under the weather. So make sure you check out all the great content we have at Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network. We appreciate you guys.
Yeah, and thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend.